You're watching and listening to WJHI 98.5, LP Jeffersonville, and Channel 184 for a socially distanced production of Red Devil Football. I'm here with Coach Parker after a big win on Friday. I know that was just a huge step forward for your program. Just congratulations on the achievement.
A lot of excitement. I've been fielding phone calls all weekend from alumni that are just extremely pleased with the effort of the young men. It looked good.
So we were going to go ahead and review that game before we preview the upcoming game against New Albany. Such a big win, so many big plays and moments. But first, the opening kickoff, you guys got the ball to start the game, but you actually fumbled it. But you responded to that by a 4-play stop to get the ball right back to your offense. Do you think that kind of helped settle your team into the game?
Yeah, initially I was, it makes you uncomfortable because the team can respond one or two ways, and we've dealt with a lot of adversity this season, and I think that everything we've went through this season has prepped us for that moment, that specific moment where, they could have laid down and they chose not to, the young man that fumbled the football during that kickoff return also plays defense for us, and he came back and had an incredible series and was a large portion of why. They did go 4 and out, and why we got that ball back. So it was, it almost kind of set the tone for the rest of the game that we're going to overcome anything thrown at us. And
you mentioned the defense. They really dominated early, but the offense kind of took a couple series to get going until you actually inserted Adrian Hughes at quarterback and ran the option. Did you know going into that game that you were going to play 2 quarterbacks and you could see a look like Adrian in the option?
We knew going in that we were going to run more of a wildcat type system. I wouldn't necessarily classify him as a quarterback. He's not listed on the depth chart as our quarterback, but he ran that position for a couple plays, for a few drives, I should say, a few series, it served the purpose that we wanted. Dadrian's very athletic. He's always a threat when he has the ball in his hands, as well as the formation we're in. We refer to as our house formation. We have 2 other backs that are extremely capable of being threats at any moment when they touch the ball to break something big. So what it did is it forced the defense to defend the whole field, and I think that kind of changed, it slowed their backside down a little bit.
And I'm also joined by Jeffersonville's quarterback, Cole Phillips. The defense really put you guys in a great position in that first half. You had the fumble for a touchdown, and then you threw a touchdown to get that 14-0 lead, but Floyd responded with some big plays to tie it up at halftime. What was the message in the locker room with the 14-14 score?
The coaches just encouraged us and told us of how great of a half we were playing, and just told us that if we keep on doing what we're doing, all will end well, and it did.
And then for you, Coach, obviously you had to be pleased with the way you guys played in the first half. You could have easily been up in the game, but knowing that it was tied with a great football team on the road, what was your message to the kids just to run the course and play the rest of the game?
At the half, that is what we discussed. Going into the half, we made some decisions, I think, that were some would call questionable of whether or not to throw the ball with 41 seconds with a 7-point lead away. We knew we asked a lot of our young men, especially a few in skill positions, to play both sides of the ball. A couple big guys played both sides of the ball as well, and we asked them to empty their tank, and we didn't know how much was left in the tank. So we looked at that as an opportunity to steal more points before the half. We actually had a conversation about it. It wasn't taken lightly, and my stance initially was, let's run the ball, let's get to the half, let's kill the clock. And Coach Cardwell, he's an experienced football coach, has been around Jeff for a long time, and Coach Leonard as well. They both basically explained their mentality. Their thought process was, hey, let's continue to push the tempo. Let's try to get 7 more points before the half. It was a high risk, high reward. Unfortunately, in that situation, it was a high risk, played out, and they were able to steal 7 points from us right before the half. But again, I go back to it's the same as that first play where, they didn't quit, they didn't lay down. It was just another speed bump that we've dealt with all season. Let's get past it. Let's move on, and they did that. So.
And it seemed like responses was the theme of the game. How would your team respond to the big plays by Floyd? So Floyd got the ball to start the second half, drove the length of the field, and went up a touchdown. But Jordan Ferguson, probably the MVP of your offense all year, stepped up and had an 85-yard run the very next play. Can you talk about him and that response right away to that touchdown?
We dominated 20 of the first 24 minutes of the game. We're up 14-0 with just prior to the 4-minute mark in the second quarter, and within that 4-minute window, they scored 14 points, and then came back, and in the first couple minutes of the second half, continued to do what Floyd has done, and that's score points, and they put up 7 more. So within a 7-minute window roughly, they scored 21 points, and I never saw heads hang. I never saw the defense get upset. You could tell they were getting tired as far as how they exited the field, but offense responded again. We had a real tough kickoff return on that one. I think we ended up with the ball in the 15, and again, Jordan Ferguson he's been special for us all season. You look at his numbers coming out of this game, and he has 1,219 yards, averaging over 6 yards a carry, 9 touchdowns. And what people don't realize, you compare those numbers to the state and you go, wow, those are really good numbers. But what they're missing is that we played one less game than everybody else this year. We had 8 games in the regular season plus a playoff game. So he's done that in 9 games. Again, it goes back to the specialness of that kid, is that the quit is not in his vocabulary.
And I'm also joined by Jeffersonville outside linebacker Vance Boyd. You go up against Jordan in practice. Can you talk about his skill set and what it's like battling against him every day?
If I had a word for Jordan Ferguson, I would call him a dog, because that's just truly what he is. He never gives up. Every practice I talk to him, I tell him, we gonna hit. Every practice. He's like, yeah. Always talking smack, everything, every day. 110% every day. That's why we bring energy to the field every day.
And then you actually, after the touchdown, missed the extra point, and you decided to kick an onside kick. That was a pretty gutsy call that really changed the game. Can you talk about that thought process and that surprise that had everyone shocked in the stadium?
Going into the game, through watching, we had several, playing Floyd as many times as we did, we had several films of them. And, their kickoff return is a big portion of their game. They're always a threat. They have a lot of athletes in the backfield. So we went into with the idea that we're going to try to squib it and pin them down south of the 30, if we can do that. So the first one, I think they ended up with the ball right at the 35. The second one was the 30. And then the next one was, I think they tried to make a shift. We noticed right after the half they tried to shift their third level back up to the second. And the ball took a good hop for us and jumped over that young man and ended up back at who we were originally targeting. So there's a lot of movement in that second level of their kickoff return on the left side specifically. So we decided, hey, let's give us a shot again. High risk, high reward. Let's go with it. Our defense have been playing so well up to that point that we had a lot of trust in our defense. Coach Schindler put together a heck of a game plan this week. We did some things completely different, and the young men responded to it once again, coming off our best week of practice. But Gafford Altamirano, the kid's been clutch for us all year. Gaff is he's a special young man, and just it's tough because he's not around as much, as most of the other players, because he plays soccer as well. He's kind of a loner for us, but man, they've embraced him, and he is definitely part of our team and a huge part of our team, and he executed perfectly as well as the rest of the kickoff team.
And once again, Cole joining me. You go onto the sideline after that one-play touchdown. And so what was the thought process? Did you know that we were going to have the onside kick? And what was the feeling when you get it and knowing you're going right back out there for another drive?
I actually did not know we were onside kicking it. So when we got the ball back, it was a surprise to me because I was over at the water station with my helmet off, and I had to run onto the field, get the play in. So it was surprising, and we capitalized on it.
But a good surprise, right?
Yeah, good surprise. Definitely a good surprise.
So then for you, Coach, you actually go ahead and score that drive. You get another stop, and then you score again. So you go up 35-21 in that game. But one of the big players on, especially those two series, on some crucial third downs was Tyson Maddox. Can you talk about his breaking out party for Jeffersonville in that game, having over 100 yards on 6 catches?
Tyson joined our team back in the summer when we started, and I met with his family, and there was some conversation on whether we thought it was best for him to stay or transfer over. Everybody agreed that it was best. His family did. It was best for him to transfer over. So he knew coming into that first 9 weeks he was ineligible and wasn't going to be able to play. And that young man attended every practice. And not only did he wasn't just a physical presence at practice, he worked. And he used the word dog to describe Jordan Ferguson, and I will echo that with Tyson Maddox. Whenever something miraculous happened in practice, you see some amazing athletic play. It got to the point where I quit asking who was that, because you knew it was Maddox. He's a special young man as well, and just a huge asset to the team. I will say this: he had numerous catches in the game, in key catches, key moments. But that was delivered, from Cole Phillips, who we've now tabbed as Tom Brady, And you have to give credit to the offensive line. Those bigs opened up everything for us. They played their best game I've seen an O-line play at Jeff in a while.
And you really dominated both sides of the line of scrimmage in that game. And I would even say just a year ago, one of your weakest position groups, you could say, was the offensive line. Talk about how they've grown as a unit. I know you have 4 seniors, so just talk about that offensive line as a unit and how they've stepped up this season.
Last season they were forced again to take another new head coach with another system. That makes it difficult. That makes it difficult to have any chemistry, in your blocking schemes. They responded, and a lot of those young men are back this year, and they have that chemistry. They have those 10 games of experience or 11 games of experience from last year, and that played a huge role. Our O-line is very cohesive. They are definitely a unit of 5. They take their job serious to protect Cole, and they take their job serious to be gritty. And man, they played very well. Floyd's they're a very strong physical team. They got a young man that signed with Ohio State, which we wish him the best of luck. So they knew going into that game that no one expected. The whole team knew no one expected us to win. Heck, I think I saw on the website that we had a 1% chance of winning sectional. We took the first step in that, but they didn't care what everybody else said. It's us, it's that unit, it's the brotherhood that's inside that locker room, and that played the biggest role.
And once again, I'm joined by Vance. So Floyd did respond. You knew they weren't going to go down without a fight. They would make it a 35-28 game. They get the ball back with 5 minutes left, and you have to get one stand to close out the game. What was the message from Josh Schindler, the defensive coordinator, and all your coaches to go out there and make one final stand to win you guys the game?
He basically just told us to go out there and leave it all. Told us there and go out there and kill. And that's it, really.
And then, Coach Parker, you guys would end up getting the big interception to win the game. What was the feeling on the sideline? And for you, a Jeff guy, once you saw that we had the football with little time on the clock?
And I think it's probably my age, but you never chalk anything up until it's over. And I kept waiting for a timeout. I think I might have miscalculated. I thought they had a timeout. I still don't know whether they did or didn't, but I thought they did. So I expected them to call one, and I remember vividly there was 20 some odd seconds left, and the clock's still running, and I'm still waiting, I'm still watching, I'm still completely engulfed in what's going on. And Coach Leonard came over and put his hand on my shoulder and goes, "We won." And I'm like, I needed somebody to tell me that to get me out of that moment. And then of course I was immediately brought back to reality when I felt that cold bath that I got right beforehand, which is always a joy. It was a big win for the program. I tell you, it was big for the alumni to see the direction we're going. It was big for the former players and the former coaches. Most importantly, it was big for these young men to see that when we all believe as a unit, big things happen. When a group of young men believe, big things happen. They stepped into that game as close to as close to we've come as being a family, and you saw the response of that.
And I have to ask, I know all wins and losses mean the same in the record books, but as a Jeff guy, and you're trying to establish this program moving forward, what did it mean to beat your rival on their home field in such a marquee win, one you can hang your hat on moving forward to the young guys and to the people moving up in this program?
We tabbed Red Pride since we came back. It's what I played under when Bill Weir created the Red Pride. And when I was playing here, it was all about, we never went into any game thinking we're not going to win this game. It never happened. We knew that no matter who we were with, we were going to compete. And I think that over the course of time, the young men have been passed from coach to coach to coach since 2009 to now. I'm the 6th head coach. When I was hired, I was the 3rd in as many years. And I think that the stability has been there, and you saw the direction we're going. And, that's why I tabbed at the end of the game, welcome back, because I truly believe that that was the turning point for our program. We had talked about it, at the Madison game. We were down at the half about fighting back, and we were pretty low staffed then. And then we came back with the Jennings win, and then we came back, and a big game for us was the Bedford game. We're down at the half once again, but they came out and fought, and that was the first time we saw that actual fight, that, put your fingernails in the ground and pull yourself fight, was in that second half of the Bedford game. And they carried it over to this game, and that's why it was appropriate. There's a lot of former Jeff High players, Red Pride players on our staff, and welcome back was extremely appropriate for everybody.
So you get that big win. So now you advance to the sectional championship against New Albany, a team that actually beat you earlier in the season. How has your team improved from that game, and what will people see the difference on the field from that previous game?
I think confidence as a whole is there. In addition, we added Tom Brady to our offense, which makes it nice. Cole was growing at that point in the season. He still is growing, but at that point he was still very young into the position on a Friday night, and the game's moving so fast. When you play a team as athletic as New Albany, and they're going to be as well coached as New Albany, the game's going to move very fast. So you take a young man that started 4 games or 3 games at that point going into that one, and it moved fast for him. So I think Cole's experience plays a big role. In addition to that, I think we're about as close to full staff as we're going to be. We're still missing our middle linebacker on the quarantine. Hate that for him. He's good to go. We stay in touch with him, talk to him regularly. I think the biggest difference for us is our confidence. It's the fact that we're playing together as a unit, where then there was a lot of uncertainty. I tell you, I think the young men are prepared for a hard week of work. Friday we'll get out there and lay it out there.
Now, Jeff has not won a sectional championship since 2007. You actually won a sectional championship at Jeff. What would one mean to you as a coach after you won one as a player here at Jeff?
You said that, I get a little goosebumps. It's going to complete that cycle of we're back. We want to, I think in 149 years of Jeffersonville being around, Jeffersonville High School, we have, and I'm not trying to insult anybody if I'm missing one, but I counted 5 sectional championships, and we're ready for number 6. It's going to happen. As far as the kids are ready for it. We're going to put in the work to get there. We know New Albany's tough. It's going to be a fight on Friday night, proverbial fight, of course. And we got to come with our best game. And just like we did last week, we have to come and play a game against a team that's very athletic, that's very fast. So are we. We'll get out there and see what happens. Let the cards go where they, play the hand we're dealt and go with it.
And you get your second home game of the year. So finally, I want you to tell the Red Devil fans, what is your message to them from that big win as a program and going into this huge game on Friday against another rival in New Albany?
We're still hungry. And that's the big message. We're still hungry. We're considering ourselves a lion coming out now. It's the morning. The sun's up and the lion. I think I heard this in a motivational speech. Sun's up and the lion's hunting, and he's most vulnerable after he eats. And we're still hungry. We're not full. So we're going to put together the best week we have and prep the best we can. The coaching staff's met all weekend. I know based on the phone calls I've received, the young men are ready to get back to work, and we're still hungry. So we're going to do our best on Friday night to bring another one home, and we're ready.
Well, I would like to thank you for coming on, and once again, congratulations on that big win. And like you said, you guys are hungry for this game on Friday to have a chance to get that championship. So best of luck to you and the players for Friday. We will have the coverage here on WJHI, so you can listen to the game if you cannot attend the game. With everything going on, I know everything's kind of crazy right now. So, but this is a big opportunity for our program. I know you guys are going to give it your best shot, and should be a lot of fun. So this has been a socially distanced production of Red Devil Football. Thank you for listening and watching here on WJHI 98.5 LP Jeffersonville and Channel 184.